and maybe people will burn some of our shit. And they're like, okay, that's fine. You know, we'll get some benefit from that. Maybe they do it themselves. Wouldn't be surprised. Any publicity is good publicity. Here's a picture of some Nike basketball shoes are on fire. What does that mean? Their soles are burning, right? You see the flames coming up, burning soles. A lot of interesting imagery here. Of course, there's Saturn there, the swoosh. Saturn, the god of hell on this planet in many ways. Let's see. First, the @NFL forces me to choose between my favorite sport and my country. I chose country. Twitter user @SClancy79 said in a post retweeted 16,000 times. Then @Nike forces me to choose between my favorite shoes and my country. Since when did the American flag and the national anthem become offensive? Well, there would be people that would say, well, Colin Kaepernick is being a good American. He's actually acting out his right to be somebody who has a voice and use that voice accordingly. And he does. He absolutely does. 100%. Somehow I think that if maybe this was Sam Bradford, who plays quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, and is about as white as the Pillsbury Doughboy in a lot of ways, that if Sam Bradford was doing this, I don't think Nike would be making such a big deal out of it. But Kaepernick fits a mold, and he fits a very specific demographic mold. He is biracial, mixed, however you want to use that term. He is the face of a world that is based on diversity. Colin Kaepernick is a symbol of diversity. But what did that diversity spawn? It spawned an antipathetic relationship with his birth mother. He won't even talk to her. Won't even talk to her. And at this point, I'm not even sure how he feels about his adopted parents. I think at some point, Kaepernick had to do a hard left with his life experience. And now he lives with a somewhat potentially radical Muslim girlfriend. And I'm not into Muslim phobia or Islamic phobia. But facts are facts. She's Egyptian. And there is a rumor that Kaepernick has actually converted to Islam, although it has not been substantiated. It's out there. Just like there's a rumor that LeBron James has converted to Islam. He sure looks like it by the way that he dresses and his beard. That's a whole other story. So let's continue to read this. Still, there are a large number of other users who took positively to Nike taking a stand on social issues. Athletes including LeBron James and Kevin Durant showed support, posting images of Kaepernick's ad on their Instagram profiles. Kevin Durant and LeBron James will wind up playing together, probably after this season. Even former Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Where did this guy come from? I mean, he's been basically in the missing persons file ever since he left Iran. All of a sudden, he's got a timely tweet. The hashtag NFL season will start this week, unfortunately, once again. @Kaepernick7 is not on an NFL roster, even though he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That's a joke. It's totally misinformed. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was never one of the best quarterbacks. He caught lightning in a bottle. The league caught up to Colin Kaepernick. They figured out what they were doing, and he never adjusted. He never adjusted. He was never one of these guys that studied film. He was so physically gifted, he thought his physical gifts were always going to allow him to be better than whoever was around him. That wasn't the case. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Retail industry analysts were divided on whether the heat around the campaign would be a commercial positive for Nike or ultimately alienate and lose customers. The alt-right calls for a Nike boycott will fall flat, just like the boycott of Dick's Sporting Goods failed, said Matt Powell, a senior advisor with market research from NPD Group. Old angry white guys are not a core demographic for Nike. Well, that's true. That's true. But I want to just bring this back. Oh, here, let me get one more quote in here. This is from a different analyst. This is Global Data Retail's Neil Saunders. He said the campaign will harm Nike in Middle America, where it is in a battle against Germany's Adidas for dominance in the sneaker market. I always used to wear Adidas. That was my brand. Love the three stripes. The company's stand may go down well on its native West Coast. It will be far less welcome in many other locations. He said, I can tell you right now, it will not be a huge hit here in Flyover. That ain't happening. Maybe in California. Maybe. Nike, are they taking a risk? Or are they actually fulfilling a mandate? And the mandate being that they will promote this Saturnian symbol, or a symbol of Saturnine culture. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the symbol of Baphomet, if you look at Baphomet, what is Baphomet? Baphomet is a hybrid. Baphomet is part female and part male. It has male genitalia, and Baphomet has breasts. Maybe somewhere tucked underneath the male genitalia, Baphomet might also be female. So Baphomet is hermaphroditic. And it represents this blending of duality and opposites. In Colin Kaepernick, we see some of that. We see the blending of a white Italian mother and what I believe to be a black American father. And because she has some interesting strains in her bloodline, Colin Kaepernick comes out looking as if he's Ethiopian or Eritrean. And what's interesting is that it was Italy that conquered Ethiopia and Eritrea, and so there was some mixed race coupling going on in that part of the world. And I'm not saying that the Ethiopians or Eritreans look like the way that they are because the Italians, that's not the case. I'm just telling you that happened. My theory is that Colin Kaepernick's father is an ex-NFL football player because his mother was living in Milwaukee at the time and probably was close to some athletes in that area and maybe an ex-Packer. I have my thoughts about who it might be. I don't want to get into it right now. But anyway, he represents that, right? He's this blending. He's just like Baphomet is a hybrid species of male and female, animal and human, because Baphomet is a goat. Baphomet's also human. Baphomet's female. Baphomet's male. So it's this resolution of duality through this symbolic form, and Kaepernick represents that in his own kind of personification. He's black and he's white. He's a rebel. He's trying to be a good American, and he's got all these kind of things colliding together. So he becomes a de facto symbol of Baphomet. And as a result of that, he becomes a fetish of Saturn. And Nike is a company that is dedicated to Saturn. Look at the symbol, the swoosh. And look at their relationship with LeBron James. LeBron James is probably the most marketed athlete in Nike's stable. In fact, there's a rumor that this new school in Akron that LeBron supposedly built was actually Nike's idea, and they put the money together through LeBron James's foundation, which is all tax deductible, by the way. So Nike has an agenda, they're promoting an agenda, and they may not care if they lose money, because in a lot of ways, it's a form of worship that they are actually doing a service to Baphomet, Saturnalia, the god that they worship. So they may not even care at all. And if in fact they do lose money, well, maybe it's even on some level, a sacrifice that they deem worthy enough. Anyway, keep your eyes on it. Something to ponder, to think about, to decode in a strange and unusual period of time that we're currently living in. Let's see, is there anything else out there that I wanted to cover? You know, one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to give people some stuff that they can use on a daily basis that could be helpful in this new version of 15 Minutes of Flame. So I just wanted to read to you very quickly the top 10 anti-inflammatory foods. Now, some of you are very well versed in health, so I'm going to read this anyway because there are some people that may not be. So here's how you can reduce inflammation in your body. You add more omega-3s, vitamin D, polyphenols, antioxidants, anthocyanins, quercetin, curcumin, and xanthines. So which foods have those inside of them? How about wild salmon? You get your omega-3, you get vitamin D, right? Salmon is a great food. It's loaded with magnesium and zinc and B vitamins. It's got some choline in there. Make sure with your salmon that it is not farm raised. Go out and get the real stuff. I like the Atlantic salmon myself. That's just me. So you want to reduce inflammation and get a lot of health benefits, salmon's your friend. Walnuts are another great source of eliminating inflammation. Let's see. Now we know that it's got a lot of selenium. Walnuts are good for you. They're high in selenium. They're also high in a form of vitamin E called gamma tocopherol. So they talk about tocopherols and sort of vitamin E. So walnuts are really high in that. And I actually think that it's probably better to go and eat the foods. And if you can't eat them, of course, the supplements are pretty good. If you get good supplements. Berries are another form of type of food that help with inflammation. So we've got the raspberries, the blackberries, strawberries. Now, Stephen Gundry says that you should eat berries in season. That eating berries out of season aren't in your best interest. So we're actually coming out of berry season. Keep that in mind. Dark leafy greens are another source of being able to deal with inflammation. So we got spinach, Swiss chard, kale, collards. You know who they are. Usual suspects. A lot of antioxidants, vitamins, and some anti-inflammatory power. How about onions? Onions have phytochemicals in them. Organosulfur. Onions not everybody can eat onions. I just found that onions are also laced with what's called fructans, and fructans lead to bloating. I know a lot of people eat onions, and next thing you know, you're bloating. So you're getting the ability to deal with inflammation, but at the same time, it doesn't do well with your stomach because of the fructans. Apples. Now this one, I wasn't aware of this one, but apples actually stabilize blood sugar and insulin levels, which I thought was interesting. And they have a phytochemical in there named quercetin, which is a great antioxidant. And apples are in season. Here's another one that caught me by surprise. Extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil. It's high in polyphenols. Extra virgin olive oil is also known as EVU. Doesn't that sound like one of those angels that John Dee and Edward Kelly would channel? EVU. So it's got a broad spectrum of polyphenols, an SPF spectrum. It's got vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin D, and apparently it's also quite good for dealing with type 2 diabetes and even Alzheimer's. We all know turmeric and curry, great for anti-inflammatory function. Ginger is another one. I like ginger. I'm a big ginger fan. And then red cabbage, which I thought was interesting, high in C, K, and A.